Hey guys, well, there comes a time when big cameras are just not as suitable for certain occasions. And while action cams have gotten ridiculously good over the years, there's nothing like the DJI Action 2. But would I consider it to be my go-to action cam? Well, maybe, and for specific reasons that may have nothing to do with image quality. Well, for starters, it comes in this modular design of having the main camera module being able to detach itself from the power module here on the bottom. See? I've never seen anything like this before, and it's very refreshing. Giving you this tiny little camera to work with, weighing only 56 grams, that's capable of doing up to 4K 120 frames per second, which is magnetic and can be stuck on any metal surface, and included 1/4 inch thread mount and a reusable adhesive plate right out of the box if you get the dual screen combo. There was also supposed to be a magnetic pendant that acts sort of a lanyard for POV shots, but for some reason DJI didn't include it in the box, so I had to resort to using GoPro mounts with an adapter, which is thankfully included. In the main camera module, you get an internal memory capacity of only 32 gigs, and this alone will be waterproof up to 10 meters and up to 60 meters with a waterproof case. But it won't be waterproof when attached with the front touchscreen module, as the micro SD card slot and USB-C input will be left exposed. Annoyingly, I experienced it getting really hot to the touch even underwater, especially in humid weather like we have here in Malaysia or Singapore, and after 15 minutes or so of continuous recording at 4K 30 frames per second, I experienced the screen shutting off completely and couldn't continue recording. There is a high temperature record setting you could enable to stretch it further from overheating, but as far as usability is concerned, I didn't want to push it to its limit to the extent of it accidentally breaking. But DJI does say it has a running time of 70 minutes provided power reserve is enabled and recording formats set to 1080p 30 frames per second. Ideally, you would like the right mounts to suit every occasion, but I don't think so there is any for swimming aside from the headbands, and those are usually very, very uncomfortable to wear. I think the ones on the wrist mounts would be great, and part of my footage from the go-karting footage, I kind of wish there was something that I could stick on the helmet, but the adhesive itself is not something that I would like to have enough confidence on using, because it could just easily fall off unless it stays permanently on your helmet, which I did not have. So yeah, mounts make a huge difference in how you utilize this camera, and I wish I had more mounts. Why didn't you send me more mounts, DJI? Well, I'm gonna continue swimming now, and it's gonna be very shaky because I'm holding in my hand while I'm swimming, so bear with me. The 1/1.7 inch sensor does great under daylight settings, with high dynamic range capturing the sky and decent light color profile, which gives some flexibility in color grading, but it's not too far off from the normal look. There's also an option of 4x digital zoom built in, but I don't see the benefit of digitally zooming in while you could just do that in post, which ultimately gives you a better image anyways. So yeah. Image quality in itself is decent enough shooting indoors at f1.7 aperture with field of view options of standard, wide and ultra wide at a maximum angle of 155 degrees, which is super wide. You could easily stand right in front of the camera, having your arms wide open and still fit in the frame. Distortions are a given shooting this wide, but it does help with stabilization, and you could even get smoother footage with Rocksteady turned on. I mean, aside from a really wide angle, I doubt anyone's gonna vlog using this wide of an angle, but if you are, I'm no one to judge. I really am, I'm not, but do you really want your face to be distorted like that? Really? I did, however, make the mistake of shooting in 4K 30 frames per second instead of 4K 25 frames per second to sync frequencies, which created a lot of this flickering in these footage examples here, and even with anti-flicker set to auto when shooting under fluorescent lighting. So it's best to be mindful of frame rates when switching between indoor or outdoor scenarios. Now, aside from the additional touchscreen module that you have on the bottom here, aside from it being another touchscreen or an expandable storage unit, you do also get another extra 3 mics, giving you in total of 4 mics, just to give you that additional, fuller sound. And this is kind of how it would sound if you were to have it for a vlogging setup, which I'm sure a lot of content creators out there would love and appreciate, given how small and compact this form factor is. I personally love the ability to just fit it into places where no other camera can go, given how small it is. And I'm surprised DJI didn't go with the "if it's not broke, don't fix it" approach, like how GoPro has over the years. Even with high frame rates at 4K 120 frames per second, we only got this feature with the GoPro Hero 10. So I'm truly amazed at what DJI has done keeping up with the times, but doing it in their own way. Even if the desired goal to use this camera was intended for more extreme sports, it doesn't take away from the name in itself, which is the act of doing something and having it captured even in the most mundane parts of day-to-day life. The DJI Action 2 is priced at $445 for the power combo and $555 for the dual screen combo. So as my final thoughts, I really love this camera. I love how it's modular. I love how you can detach it from itself and add on other things that you want. And having it being compatible to GoPro mounts and existing mounts that you might already have, I'd say DJI has made a wonderful product here, because I love seeing things as opportunity, and how camera brands would like to stick in their own lane, and they would like to try something new with how just adding on to what GoPro has done and what I said earlier about GoPro, but mostly adding on to where things can go. So going back to the topic of opportunity, and what can this platform do for DJI and specifically the DJI Action series. I mean, we got a really decent camera with the first DJI Action, but it was somewhat of a copied version of GoPro. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. So seeing it in this version was a breath of fresh air, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Those are just my thoughts. I think my negative thoughts about this camera is the fact that it only has one button on each module, and sometimes instead of pressing 3 seconds to turn it on, I automatically record a clip, which is not ideal because you kind of want all the control that you want. But I mean, I think it's a given because of how small this camera is. I need to remind you guys how small this camera is. Those are just my negative thoughts, and I don't really have anything else to add aside from that. So yeah, that is my review of the DJI Action 2, and I hope you liked that video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.